Marathon effort to 3 hours behind closed doors at the Adelaide Oval. No suspension, cleared to play from Thursday in the Adelaide Testers. They look to wrap up the series 3-0. First time that would ever happen to an Australian team in a Test series, but he may still appeal. Apparently that door is well and truly open. Either way, huge distraction for the Proteas.
It hasn't been ideal preparation, there's no doubt about it. I'd be lying if I said it's been spectacular preparation, but our focus as from now is totally on the cricket. Hey, he's a tough man, Faf. Look, it's never pleasant when everybody's got an opinion on you and people have judged you before rulings have been made or decisions have been made, and people, I suppose that's the nature of the world at the moment. Everybody's got an opinion and can air their opinion.
Oh boy, hasn't it been an exciting week when you've got reporters getting shoved into doorways, etc., etc. And you can look. This whole thing has just snowballed out of control ever since the charge came out from the Vision popping up a couple of days after the Hobart Test. And then we've had the South Africans holding that media conference last Friday where they said it was a joke, the decision for the ICC to charge him. Then you've had, obviously, the media interest in it and the airport situation yesterday. In the end, rules are rules and he broke them.
Well, he did. And I think it's amazing how it's his second offence. And yet...
Yes, he was caught rubbing the ball on the zip of his pants.
So it's 3-zip that they were chasing, and he was done for the zip in 2014. You know what? They've revised the rules, so this time is classed as a first offence, despite the fact that he got done a couple of years ago.
Doesn't make sense.
You know what? They've beaten us fair and square. Oh, look at this scene at the airport. You know what? This young Channel 9 reporter, well done.
Not well done.
No, well done.
No, not well done.
It's fair game, Richard.
No, I'll tell you why it's not well done.
Fair game,
mate. He would have known that Faf du Plessis was not going to make any comment while the investigation was on. So all he's turned up there doing is trying to provoke a situation, and he's got one. What a hero.
No, Richard. When you've been on the road, Richard, as a on-the-road reporter, and when you're chasing a statement from a seasoned campaigner like Faf du Plessis...
He was never going to give one.
Lesson 101... Keep walking, Faf. Keep smiling and waving. Don't have a negative reaction. The minders around him were absolutely excessive. The young reporter was trying to do his gig, Richard.
Yeah, that might
and that's
well
his
be the
job,
case.
Trying to get a grab or an interview.
He already would have known he wasn't going to get one.
Richard, the headline...
No, he didn't know. You don't say that as a reporter.
The headline in what we've just seen is you've got a South African security guy shoving an Australian reporter who's doing his job, asking questions, shoving him into a wall.
No, I'm not defending...
Outrageous
I'm
behaviour.
not defending the guy's reaction. It was over the top. It was ridiculous. But, you know...
Hang on, beyond that,
reporters turning up to get nothing.
That was disgraceful. If you were touring in a foreign country, you are visitors to their shores, to have your gorilla throw that guy, and I say gorilla in the sense of security, you know...
Zunaid Wadi is his name.
He's a trainer, isn't he? Isn't he?
He's part of the management team.
And we've got some footage. They haven't held back with him either. We've got some footage of Faf today at the Adelaide Oval, walking around, entering before he went into the hearing. And Zunaid Wadi is there the entire time, following Faf around, making sure... there he is.
Just to avoid an international incident.
Just in case
someone... Because I got it misinterpreted in Fiji recently. In Australian terminology, a gorilla is a security guard.
All I'm saying is that, you know, Faf's been around for a long time. He's the captain of the team. And Richard, yes, there is an investigation, and of course we've got to go through this process. Yeah. But the reporter is there to do a job, and that is we want to hear from the South African captain. You don't just go and say, oh, well, he's not going to say anything right now. No, that's not what I want to hear as the sports editor or someone running the department or someone who might be in charge of that Channel 9 news reporter. You want to say he's had a crack at trying to get a grab with the report.
There's a line. I think he crossed it, but there you are.
Richard, he's been around long enough. Faf has been around. He's not a rookie.
It's not involving Faf. Faf just walked. Faf just walked. He didn't do anything.
That's right. But Faf can handle the situation without a minder throwing a bloke into the glass door.
I'm not defending the minder. The minder's acted up and he's done a disgraceful
thing. Faf did the right thing, kept walking, but we didn't need the excessive behaviour of those around.
You'll defend the press to the hill.
I would advise him is, mate, if you have lollies like that, if you have sugar, you are going to get very fat very quickly. I mean, what are you doing? You're an international athlete.
Is there any doubt in anyone's mind that he was ball tampering?
Oh, he was. No, he was.
Well,
he was.
And this was earlier tonight on Inside Cricket. Some greats of the game. They weighed in on the issue as well. Take a quick listen to their thoughts on the ball tampering.
According to the letter of the law, he's guilty. So I had to face some sort of discipline, and maybe 100% of match fee is pretty high.
Oh, I think it's opened up a whole can of worms, because what happens now, like, there'll be every camera, every time someone shines the ball, someone will be looking, there'll be another camera, there'll be people on Twitter.
And where does it stop? I mean, because are you going to stop players, chewing gum, eating lollies, putting sunscreen on, putting product in their hair?
So that's coming from one of the Aussie selectors there in Mark Waugh, and they do make some valid points. So they all pretty much, in essence, agree that, yes, he broke the rules, but in the end was probably pretty harshly done by getting a full match fee penalty. And, well, there were calls for suspension. He could have been suspended.
If I was Faf, I'd take it. And he's been cleared to play.
Yeah, they're talking about appealing.
Give it a miss.
But then
it's time to move on.
If he loses that appeal, though, Jim, it can be up to a suspension. They can actually change the penalty on him.
Yeah, that's right. And I think cop the match fine, the match fee. It is guilty. He's a repeat offender. I like him as a captain. I think, and they have won this series fair and square. Let's cut to the chase. They have been the best team, superior team without doubt. But it's now time to move on, and he's got to take his rightful whack, and that is the penalty was right, and I think he was guilty.
He won't. I don't think he'll appeal. I think he'll wave the appeal around like he might appeal, and he'll get a bit more coverage, and it'll seem like he's very innocent, and then he won't appeal and he'll play in the test.
There's at least with this next test there will be a quickening of interest, because we all want to see, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and pick the same team and think we're going to get a different result. Let's see how the young blokes go.
Well, the young blokes are now all this. It has. I mean,
it's spicy.
Forget the dead rubber. This is no dead rubber.
He is appealing. It's officially he's appealing.
He's going to appeal. And he's taken an awful risk.
Well, I think. Quite frankly, I'm so looking forward to this Test match now with the new faces in the Australian team. I think if I was Faf, 2-zip up, I'd go, you know what? Let's just get on with it.
Yeah, well, either way, he'll be there playing in Adelaide, it seems, despite all this. David Warner, he, well, at one stage didn't want to talk about it, but then in the end did. The entire drama surrounding the South African team.
I won't comment on the way they've been behaving. Let us know from an Australian cricket perspective. We hold our heads high, and, I'll be very disappointed if one of our team members did that and how they were reacting. For us, it's about controlling what we can do. That's playing the best cricket we can and let them worry about what they're doing.
You can argue the merits of ball tampering and all that and lollies and say it's nothing, but you either take a stance on it or you don't, and they backed away from it.
That's exactly right. You can argue whether, in fact, what he did deserves a fine or in fact, to be suspended. You can't argue his innocence or guilt, I wouldn't have thought, given that the pictures show pretty clearly what was going on.
What you can argue is that once you start to go down this road...
There he is. Look, obviously the lolly and a little bit of upchuck as well.
There's no question that he's putting, like, sugar-coated juice or whatever on the ball.
He's got a crown mint.
Yeah, but how do you stop a player putting an artificial substance on a ball? Do you stop them showering? Sunscreen. What if they bathed in minty juice? Or you brought up an aftershave, odour reverse swing? Yeah. How do you stop it, Crash?
Look, some crimes are worse than others. If Dennis Compton or Keith Miller were here, they would burst out laughing in the old days of using Brill cream on your hands and then on the ball. But there's never been one quite as blatant as that. He knew the risk. He knew the rule.
Crime is getting filmed doing it. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. No, and I'm far less offended by what he did than how he behaved after it. When you know you're cornered in life, the one way out is contrariness and this, isn't it? And that's what he did. His behaviour since then has been appalling.
So you've started with a spoof and a middle finger tonight. Have you gone rogue on the second to last show of the year?
It is a shame that it has turned nasty and spiteful, though, and I agree with you, Crash, the way that the South African team have handled it. It's almost like they're the victims and this us against them mentality arriving in Adelaide Airport. We'll get to that in a minute, but just the way that they surrounded him with this wall, and I've just admired how they've gone about it, the series so far, in the field. I mean, the way they've been able to bat and bowl and do... But it's just disappointing.
Four innocent journalists walking along, and this is the security guard, and this is just incredibly heavy-handed, I would have thought.
Port Adelaide's picked him up. He's on the rookie list as a tagger. You know what? He's making a name for himself. Good on him. He kept trying.
And to be fair, a Channel 9 journalist, you never know if they're going to interview you or abduct you. You've got to
next thing you know, he'll be doing Neighbours from Hell and Love Rats on a current affair, so good on you.
That's excessive and unnecessary from the team manager. I mean, you can't go hitting reporters like that or a bit of biffo or whatnot.
The journalist's probably a little bit out of place as well.
I think But I think a little bit on both sides, and probably as a journalist, I've been in that situation many times before. You don't want to make yourself the story, and you're sticking the mic under his nose to even get a no comment. That's what a television journo is trying to do. But he did give a bit of argy-bargy, and at the end of the day, as a journalist, you don't want to be the story.
Yeah, he just went a bit too far, Will Crouch, didn't he? But look, the South Africans have handled this so badly. Every time they get a ball tampering accusation, it just drives them insane. And they go overdrive and make something which is this big. Guys have had ball tampering accusations against them before, have been quickly fined 25%, and it's disappeared by this volcanic reaction. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely right, Crash. And the statement from the Proteas team management, I reckon, was just hilarious. What about this bit? So the reporter, who also had no official accreditation, don't know you needed an airport, then proceeded to lunge towards Faf with an unknown object, also known as a microphone.
I talk into an unknown object every day. I still don't know what I'm doing.
Don't talk about whip below that.
That's over the top. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous, but they have done this. Remember when Melbourne Storm, and the players strode out onto that field to mark their solidarity after they'd lost a couple of premierships? It was huge, and it had an enormous impact. Well, the South Africans did the same, except it ended up looking and sounding lame.
The reason everybody is here is to stand together, really, and show solidarity to what has been something that was really, what we thought was actually a joke. It's not April, but the allegations against Faf was really for us, a really ridiculous thing. I've had sweets in my mouth, bubblegum in my mouth, biltong, nuts. I'm not sure what the big deal is. For me, it's actually, to a lot of people, it's sounding like more like sour sweets and other sour sweets. For people in their heads, maybe that we've played really good cricket.
I love Quinton de Kock next to him, like Donald Trump's little kid trying to stay awake. Like 3 o'clock in the morning.
And then further behind them, Coach Russell Domingo smirking. Like, that press conference really set me off, because I just thought, that's taking the mickey. I mean, you've been caught red-handed and you're trying to bluff your way out of it by getting the holy man of the team, the guy who's the most innocent and really good soul there, who handled it appallingly, because he's shocking at media manipulation, Hashim Ampla. Well, it's just a farce.
When there's that many South Africans around you, that's called a carjacking. You've got to give up your car and just get out of there.
But if anyone's watching this from a media agency, that's how you make a small incident big. And you can't have it both ways. You can't
poorly handled.
Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, we're laughing it off, it's a joke, and you're flanked by 30 people.
And just to wrap up, it wasn't the Australians who made this claim. It wasn't. It's the ICC. So blaming the Australian cricketers or the public indeed is absolutely wrong. England have been rolled by world #1 team India, but it was ugly from the outset for Jimmy Bairstow. I love this, skipping onto the ground.
Miss the day seeing batsmen come out hungover, don't you?
That's going straight back off.
That was a beautiful moment, because they just had their team huddle and had all the, right, let's get into it, let's go, boys. And he goes, oh, hang on, boys, I bet you something wrong. I'm in a bit of strife here.
I must be colourblind.
What a way to start the day.
Like a hammy, but he twisted his ankle.
Yeah, but he was okay, came out and played.
Sports science, though, isn't it? This wouldn't happen without sports science. Warming up, psychological development.
Yeah. The highlight, though, that wasn't a highlight for me from that game. It came with the arrival of the dog. I just do love a dog on a field in a big match. It also, look, it made a little political statement. Chase it with a shoe, that's going to work.
I'm just